In the area of less than rather than a monthly at the begin of 1968, 58 fishermen relying in the British seaport of Housing lose their lives in 3 individual trawler sinkings. Thanks to the efforts of a team of established female, the deaths would changing the production, in the ripples propagating of the Arctic Sea to the stairs of Downing Road. I am departure above. We are gasket above. Assist me. I'm departure above, Captain Phil Gay pleaded in a definitive, frantic communication of the Ross Cleveland, that sank time secure of a tempest in an input close Isafjordur in Iceland on February 4. Offer my loving and the team's loving to the wives and families. The Ross Cleveland was the tertiary ship to plunge, in which became named as the Threefold Trawler Tragic. The St. Romanus had immersed in the Polar Sea on January 11, in the Kingston Olivine loose fair above a 2 weeks after off the shore of Iceland. The 20 powerful team on board both of sea vessels all dead. Down there was a solitary surviving of the 3 sinkings, 28-year-old Harry Edam, the companion of the Ross Cleveland, who done a bold flee of the ship by lot on in 2 crewmates who eventually lost. We heard downward the fjord and we hit the lower, he told in a 1968 interviewing. I got out and I stretched the lot as far up as I could up onto the rock. Edam, who yet lives in Housing, outlined how he controlled to falter one to the shelter of an Icelandic rural house. While I got down there it was empty. I hadn't the power to boot the doorway downward, so I fair waited and went to the behind of it to get out of the snowing. Outlined in a Everyday Courier title as the person who came behind of the ocean, he was fated on his back up social view rotated versus him. Down there were deep unjust suggestions he should include taking into account his watertight clothes to a youthful crewmate who done it in the lifeboat tiring just lingerie, time several seemed to magistrate him just for creature live. During a few weeks Edam was behind at job, as if the tragic had never occurred. Fishery was an unusually hard production, it is alleged how more than rather than 6,000 trawlermen of Housing one lost among 1835 and 1980. Sorrow, and the celebration of sorrow, was a continuous for the town, told historiographer Brian W. Lavery. It is frequently neglected how fishery was a giant production and the largest hazardous on land, worse though rather than charcoal mining. And though sadness enveloped Housing at the begin of 1968, it was duplicated in one paper title as Same Sad Town, minnow yet necessary to be trapped and lifetime compressed on. But in an era while public health and security practices were yet vestigial, anything had been made to address several of the issues, had amongst them the absence of complete time wireless operators, how introduced to the tragic. Led by the menacing Lillian Bylaka, it would be a team of 4 persons formidable female who would click for changing. Housing was at the period, on to Dr. Lavery, the big marine town on land, and by need one how, on a date-to-date base, relied tremendously on the female who remaining on shore to hold it operating. Same men were off for on 20 days fishery and perhaps later just behind for 3, the historiographer told. In spite the accidental misogynist of the era lot female said me, we were mom and dad to our guys. Bylaka, Large Lil as she was called, incarnate the can-do ghost of the female of Housing. In the person of powerful opposition, Bylaka, Christine Jensen, Mary Dennis and Yvonne Blenkinsop, the 4 persons female duplicated the Scarf Revolutionaries, are alleged to include stored thousands of lives via the security campaigning they fought. Same team was not backed by all the men while they begun their campaigning, Dr. Lavery told. Yvonne Blenkinsop was though perforated in the person for receive implicated in which several named know of their industry. It was entrenched, female didn't go on the dock, so lot so how while Lil Bylaka led a female's march onto the dock, less than rather than part of such next her would move on to he. Nor was it lightweight for the crews themselves to formalize any changes to work practices. John Prescott told Unionising trawlermen was love grazing cats, following all you can include a association meet at ocean, told Dr. Lavery. The behavior of fishermen, may be present they would be outlined as manly, were as well maybe a obstacle to changes to the production. As retired Captain Ken Knox told, thou took risk as a portion of lifetime, I was driven up in it of outgoing high school. In spite the hurdles located in Big Lil's way, she though acquired die threats in the position, she would not be deterred of her purpose. On in the some 3 female, she collected a 10,000 sign application inviting for reformation, guideline a deputation to Parliament. The female met ministers of the Executive Board of Trading and the Ministry of Farming and Fish Resources, and the Fishers' Carta, that set out the campaigners' demands, was introduced to the Trawler Owners Associate following a march onto the Minnow dock. While the Navigation Secretary done a declaration in the House of Commons quickly following the Ross Cleveland was loose, allocating a schedule for by the government intervene in the minesweeping production, year of campaign by unions and MPs of housing, also been trumped by 7 days of campaign by Lil and her scarf troop, on to Mr. Lavery. Amongst the measures the campaigning won were security checks up where leftward seaport, wireless operators for all sea vessels, superior security machinery and a mom vessel in care means for all fleets. Bailaka became a known view on the dock, request if where had a complete team and a wireless carrier up flapping them away. On one event she was discreet by police force commanders of throw herself onto the sun deck of a trawler whose team responded in the adverse. In November the recent bequest of Lillian Bailaka, a act on Big Lil's artistic achievements by artist and dramatist Maxine Peake, was premiered in Housing for its year as UK Town of Civilization. He's on female setting their chief over the railing. Housing dramatist Val Holmes, who has as well spelled on the lifetime of Bailaka, told, I believe human beings are fair implementing which she did in fact reach. But as it rotated of, the indefatigable job of the scarf revolutionaries done the lives of fishermen more secure fair as housing was loser its statute as a noisy fishery seaport. Same 4 persons female stored thousands of lives in their actions but the mockery was during a 10 years the production was corpse, Mr. Lavery told. A marine town how relied on the riches driven to beach by the 3-day millionaires, a period invented to explain the brief term remnant enjoyed by the fishermen as a outcome of their weeks at sea, was already history its trawler blossoming by 1968. In 1970 housing mundane 197,000 tons of minnow, but by 1981 how drawing had fall to just 15,000 tons, on to the Sea Fish Resources Statistics spreadsheet. As marine historiographer Rob Robinson points of, the planet was change and outgoing housing over. Key factors in the death of the town as a fishery seaport were world economy and superimposed fishery framework, on to Dr. Robinson. Looking behind, 1968 was a late spot at international level in so lot ways, in housing it was a divide, he told. To housing fishery, the decrease strengthened a period of changing. It intended how lot skills were thrown to the breeze. In the anniversary date, the town is remember a acute losing, superfluous deaths and as well the losing of a way of lifetime.